All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Big Discussions 76, Science and Technology. I yeah, this is the first time in a while that I've done a triple header. So yeah, I did something on Monday over on my original channel, and I did something on my sports channel last night, and I wanted to do something science related over here. And I haven't gone live over here in a while. Things are pretty busy. I'm finishing up my book project. And yeah, so I saw an article that I wanted to read today. Tonight we're going to do a little bit of weather, a little bit of climate. That's probably going to get the blue sticker put on my video, but I'm not going to be too long. The lights flickered a moment ago. I think some storm clouds are coming in. Speaking of weather, so yeah, we're going to talk about sea level rise and whether or not islands are disappearing. Let me make sure I could see myself on YouTube, and then I am not going to belabor this. All right. It is a Wednesday night. If you watch this on the playback, please smash that button. If you are unsubscribed, please consider subscribing. And yeah, also thank you to everyone who subscribed recently. That whole anti-natalist thing, that stream, it got a lot of viewership, and I, on this channel, it's weird over here. Well, on all YouTube channels, you see the subscribership, sometimes it ticks down and then it ticks back up, and you don't know if the subscribers are doing that or if that's YouTube doing that. So anyway, I'm going to play my intro and then I am going to get started. If you are watching if you're watching on the playback and if you're watching live and you want to make a donation to the channel, my Cash App and PayPal are here. Let me just open the Word file. All right. My unit, shout out to Complex Design. My rig, it rebooted, it updated. So it should be working nice and smooth for the next hour, assuming the power doesn't go out. And let me share this over on my original channel too. While Microsoft Word boots up. Thank you to whoever gave me likes. T Riddler has come over. I know where you just were, T Riddler. Let's see. All right. Okay, why did that? Okay, give me a second here. This thing. All right, let me go back and reshare. Yeah, T Riddler, I know where you were. I'm talking some science. Over on Big Discussion 76, Science and Technology. Yeah, T Riddler, what we were just listening to, it very much relates to my last stream here, which dealt with anti-natalism. Okay, I don't plan to go super long tonight. I think some storm clouds are coming in, and my lights were flickering about 10 minutes ago. So I'm going to play my intro, and then I'm going to start. Nice to see a science live stream. Thank you, T Riddler. I think science is a it's an unappreciated field. He says, hope you had a nice day in our nation's capital. Yeah, they're having a big NATO conference here. So I think President Biden has to be in person today. He has to be in person all week long. So a lot of folks worked remotely today, at least in my office. We're supposed to go in and work on Wednesdays, but because NATO was here, they allowed us to work at home. Okay, I'm going to play my intro, and then I'm going to start, and then I'm going to wrap up hopefully sooner than later because I don't want to suffer a power outage. We're going to do a little bit of sea level rise. A little bit of sea level rise tonight. All right.
So Anwar, I see you have the periodic tables on your chest.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that all about? Why are you walking around with a chemistry chart on your chest?
Well, Cheryl, so this channel is a STEM channel. So when I was conceiving of it and figuring out how to grow it, I figured I should have some T-shirts to go with it. So the periodic table is critical to most of the scientific fields. Welcome to Big Discussions 76, Science and Technology. Science and technology are all around us, all of the time, and there are always science and technology stories to tell. There are always science and technology stories. Okay, so tonight we're going to do a little bit of weather, a little bit of climate, and also we're going to talk about sea level rise and whether islands are being gobbled up by the rising seas and the rising oceans. Those of you who know me know that I took an interest in this whole climate business about 2 years ago when I was challenged in terms of whether or not I, a scientist, believe in science because of I was not hardcore on the what's called the climate alarmist side. So when you're talking about climate and climate change and this whole thing it's a vast and polarized world. You have two teams, much like the Democrats and the Republicans. You have climate alarmists and you have climate deniers. And I need to update this slide so that it says climate undecideds or climate unsureds, because there are a lot of people who are unsure and they're undecided, and they have witnessed changes in weather patterns throughout their lifetimes. But then the question is, how do you disaggregate what man is doing or what man is said to be doing versus what nature is doing itself? We know that the earth, there are numerous things happening on the earth, and the earth is in its own ecosystem as well with the other planets. I was going to give a number. I know that Pluto was demoted from planetary status. But yeah, so there are three parties: climate alarmists, climate deniers, and climate undecideds. Okay, and I think I would go, I might get myself in trouble here, but I would go in that camp, the undecideds. All right. So one concern for the alarmist side, and we've been hearing about this for a while, and this is important for the election, for the debates. Well, if there are more debates, there might not be more debates, but you might hear a lot of the earth is burning, the oceans are boiling, the ice caps are melting, the whole thing is going to hell. Okay, and it's all man's fault. And one of the things you hear is that islands are being swallowed up by the ocean. But is that true? I got an interesting piece from the New York Times. I forgot that I have a subscription to the New York Times, and they send me articles in one of my email boxes. And I saw something interesting, and I'm going to read it. But as a primer for that, let's go over to the Carbon Dioxide Coalition's page to their science quizzes. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, and I'm probably getting myself in trouble with this, there is something called the Carbon Dioxide Coalition. Okay. And their mission is to counter the alarmist side and basically say, hey, carbon dioxide is plant food. carbon dioxide is good for us. Carbon dioxide is actually good for the planet. It's good for the foliage. It's good for the rainforest. It's good for the crops that we're growing that we need to eat to feed ourselves and the livestock and our pets. Carbon dioxide is plant food. So there is a carbon dioxide coalition that their mission is just to spread the good gospel about carbon dioxide. So it just so happens that they have a science quiz there. And I would challenge people to go over and take that quiz. And most of their answers are backed up by information and links. So there was one question I was searching for, but I think they update the questions every so often because it wasn't one of the first questions that came up. But another interesting question that relates directly to this topic came up. So I'm going to share this and we're going to look at this together. And then I'll get to the feature piece that I want to read, and then I'll wrap the stream up. Okay. Please smash that like button if you haven't. Okay. This is from the Carbon Dioxide Coalition's science quiz. Okay. If you guys are unfamiliar with them, I would recommend, going over there. And because some of the answers will surprise you based upon what we're told by the mainstream media and the climate alarmist side, some of the answers in this science quiz will surprise you and probably shock you as well. Okay, so this question says, many coral islands in the Pacific are growing. Okay, all right, I think I just stole my own punchline there. Okay, the question is, islands in the Pacific are shrinking in size due to sea level rise. I'll say that again. Islands in the Pacific are shrinking in size due to sea level rise. Okay, so for every question that the Carbon Dioxide Coalition that they present, you are allowed to agree, disagree, or you are unsure. No one's grading you on this, and they give you the answer anyway. So I think I selected unsure. Okay. And this says many coral islands in the Pacific are growing. I'm going to say that again. Many coral islands in the Pacific are growing. All right. And then the caption underneath says coral islands in the Pacific Ocean have been found to actually be growing rather than shrinking or sinking, including Tuvalu, which gained size by 2.9%. Sea level has risen about 400 feet in the last 15,000 years, and these islands grew along with the sea level rise. The processes of island growth are still active today. Coral reef islands can accrete vertically in response to sea level rise. That's from Massalink et al. 2020, so that's fairly recent. Ocean-facing shorelines in barrier islands are constantly subject to both sand removal and replenishment and to being reshaped and reconfigured by storms. So that's interesting, isn't it? What we often hear, and I'm sure this is not the same for every island, but what we often hear is that islands are being swallowed. Well, my triple AS flask almost tipped over. Okay, so what we often hear is that islands are being swallowed up by the ocean and by rising seas. But as I'll read about, it seems that at least some islands, are involved in a dynamic process in which allows them to adjust with the sea level rise. Very interesting, right? Okay, so I'm going to lower this one, and then I'm going to go to the piece, and then I'll wrap up. If there are comments, I'll read those comments. If not, then you can leave them under the video on the playback. So again, this is important. It's important for the everyday citizen, the common man, the layperson to know these things because, as I discussed in my anti-natalism stream, people have the world leaders. I don't want to start conspiracies here, but our world leaders, some of them have plans for the people on the ground. So, and the people on the ground were told a lot of things, especially during election years. So it's important for everyone to know the actual truth and to know, to be informed. It's important to be informed. Okay. All right. So this piece, and again, I was sent this by the New York Times. Okay. This is entitled Rising from the Sea, and it was written by Raymond Zhong. And it says underneath, I'm a climate reporter. Okay. So YouTube, they tightly control certain conversations, especially the conversations on climate. So there will be a blue disclaimer underneath this video, probably within seconds or an hour of me presenting this. Okay. It's not there now, but it will be. All right. So this reads as follows. T. Riddler, if you're still there, comment, leave thoughts, questions, whichever. Okay. We humans have settled in all sorts of precarious environments: parched deserts, barren tundra, high mountains. None are precarious in quite the same way as atolls, the tiny, low-lying islands that dot the tropics. As the planet warms and the oceans rise, atoll nations like Maldives, the Marshall Islands, and Tuvalu have seemed doomed to vanish like the mythical Atlantis into watery oblivion. So in this article, Raymond is talking about a set of islands called the Maldives. I've never heard of these before. So let's take a quick look at where the Maldives are. T. Riddler, I'm sure you know where the Maldives Islands are. Well, let's take a look. The Maldives Islands are right there in between Western Africa and India. I'm going to zoom out. So they're right there. Well, yeah. So you're far off the coast of Somalia. Let me slow down. You're far off the coast of Somalia, and then you are southwest of India, okay, in the Arabian Sea. So I'm going to zoom back in. Yeah. So those are the Maldives. And the pictures, I think there's a picture in this article. Most islands look very, very peaceful. They look like they're fun to live in. But you're secluded from everything else, and you need a way to get out if something bad happens. All right, let me go back to the piece. T. Riddler says, "Oh, see," he says, "I do know about them. My sister took her honeymoon there." Okay, the Maldives Islands. How about that? All right. Of late, though, scientists have begun telling a surprising new story about these islands. By comparing mid-20th century aerial photos with recent satellite images, they've been able to see how the islands have evolved over time. What they found is startling. Even though sea levels have risen, many islands haven't shrunk. Most, in fact, have been stable. Some have even grown. We don't hear a lot about that, do we? Okay. One study that rounded up scientists' data on 709 islands across the Pacific and Indian Oceans showed that nearly 89% either had increased in area or hadn't changed much in recent decades. Only 11% had contracted. Okay, so here's a diagram that says how an island has changed. So Kandahalaga. I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly. So let's see, stable island core, 1969 to 2005. Okay. Okay, so the pink color shows land and vegetation lost to erosion, and then that teal blue area underneath that shows a new edge of vegetation and new land and vegetation. So it lost some, but it gained some. So it stayed about the same. All right, AB Media, one of the Black Manosphere's political pundits, has entered the building. Thank you for being here, AB Media. All right. So AB Media, this might be useful in your political talk. We're talking about whether or not islands are shrinking due to increasing sea level rise. You know that political discussions, at least on the Democratic side, involve a lot of talk about the oceans boiling, the ice caps melting, and the entire world burning up. So, yeah. All right. So that was 2005. Okay, this is 2023. Okay, so it looks like the entire edge of vegetation has increased since 2005. Okay, and that's surprising because what we hear is islands are disappearing under the water. All right. To understand why, I spent time this past spring with a team of researchers in the Maldives as they collected data on two key pieces of the puzzle: ocean current and sand. Currents and waves can erode sandy shorelines, of course, but they can also bring fresh sand ashore from the surrounding coral reefs, where the remains of corals, algae, crustaceans, and other organisms are constantly being crushed into new sediment. Another source of sediment, colorful parrotfish, which munch on coral and churn out white sand from their digestive tracts. By examining how these interrelated and complex processes affect one particular island, here's another tongue twister. Okay, I'm going to try this. Dehegula Badu, an uninhabited curlicue of land a few miles north of the equator. The scientists hope to better predict how other islands will change. Okay, there are some scientists there on a beach taking samples, taking measurements. The next century, though the research suggests that atolls aren't about to wash away entirely, it hardly means they have nothing to worry about. Global warming is putting coral reefs under severe strain. If, say, the ice sheets melted faster than expected, then sea level rise could accelerate sharply. Even so, scientists say the revelation that atoll islands can adjust naturally to rising seas means that people who live on them have an opportunity to figure out how to cope with their changing environment. It means they have other options besides the most drastic one, abandoning their homelands altogether. I'm confident there will be islands in the Maldives 50 or 100 years from now. One of the researchers on the team, Paul Kench, told me while we were on, okay, there it is again, Dehegu Labadu. They're not going to look like these islands. They're going to be different, but there will be land here. To me, that's the challenge. How do you coexist with that change that's coming? All right, there's a gentleman on the coastline of one of the islands. Okay, that's in the Maldives. The Maldives need to cultivate and recruit more scientific experts who can help guide the nation's efforts to adapt, said Ali Sharif, the government's special envoy for climate change. Without them, it's hard to build infrastructure while minimizing harm to reefs or to design towns that are resilient to flooding. Money is an issue too. If we have access to the technology and finance, I think we can save the Maldives. It is not all doomsday. Shauna Eminent, the former environment minister, told me the problem is we don't have access to finance and technology. If we humans can find a way to keep living and flourishing on atolls, it will bode well for our ability to continue doing so all across our warming planet. As John Barnett, a geographer at the University of Melbourne, put it, if we can solve climate change adaptation for atolls, solve is the wrong word, then we can do it anywhere. Okay, see everybody? Short and sweet. Short and sweet. I would drop the link in the chat, but this was emailed to me. But if anyone is interested in reading this, Google this title, Rising from the Sea by Raymond Zhong. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's what I wanted to present tonight. See, short and sweet, but it's significant because all we hear about is islands being gobbled up by the oceans, and the oceans are melting and the islands are being gobbled up. But it seems that there is data out there saying that islands are involved in a dynamic process of sand replenishment that involves the currents and bringing in sand from the coral reefs that can allow islands to adjust to sea level changes. And I imagine with most things, there are probably limits to that. There are probably limits. There's probably a point where that can become overwhelmed. And when you're thinking about the environment and the weather and climate and even biological processes, there are often multiple things happening, and there isn't just one thing. So there are multiple things that you have to think about. Okay. So with that, I'm at 26 minutes. I am going to wrap this stream up because I have some other things to do. Eating is one of them. So with that, T. Riddler, AB Media, thank you for stopping through. If you are watching on the playback, please let me know what you think. Well, have you heard of the Maldives Islands, the atolls? Have you heard of this process before where islands can adjust to the sea level? That's very, very fascinating, and it's something we never hear about. Well, now you have. Now you have. All right, everyone. This is Big Discussions 76, Science and Technology. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar. Please like, share, and subscribe, especially if you are new. If you were subscribed, you never know when you've been unsubscribed by the machine here. If you want to donate something to the channel, my Cash App and PayPal are below in the description box. They are here. Okay, and also please consider joining the Big Words LLC Newsletter. I am a writer and a blogger, and I am finishing up a book project right now. And that book project involves what sports teach you about life, success, and failure. And also, in my instance, what sports teach you about science. Because sports learning how to compete is a part of science. Learning how to persevere is a part of science. And learning to deal with life, success, and failure is a part of science. So I'm going to show this really quickly, and then I'm going to hit the end button. Please smash that like button if you're just coming in. I am wrapping this up. So for the readers out there, I've been told that there aren't a lot of readers in terms of the YouTube viewers. That's why you all are here, because you guys don't want to read, you want to watch video. But for the readers who are out there, I do have a newsletter. I am behind schedule for this month since I'm finishing up my book, but this link is in the description box. There is a 2-paragraph greeting there, and you just click that subscribe button and enter in your email address, and you are then a part of my tribe. And I promise I will not give your information away. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. Yeah, and definitely, if you're watching this on the playback, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I'd love to talk to any climate scientists, the modelers, and the people out actually taking measurements on mountains, on beaches, on boats. I'd love to talk to some climate scientists physicists, anyone in that world. I'd love to talk to someone because that's not my expertise. Okay. But I'd love to learn and just get the word out about what's really going on. So everyone, enjoy the rest of your night. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best and ask questions, even the unpopular ones. Ask questions. And with that, take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.